I, Piyush Agrawal, anchor for today's session, feel privileged to extend my warm welcome to all present here for today's speaker session on machine learning. We are entering a future full of machine learning technologies such as speech recognition, natural language processing, automated cars, etc., which are reaching a nexus of capabilities. Machine intelligence is the last invention that humanity will ever need to make. Machine learning allows us a machine to learn on its own without being explicitly programmed to do so. It enables machine to learn out of data and predict outcomes with a higher accuracy. The basic scheme of Society 5.0 is that data are collected from the real world and processed by computers, with the result being applied in the real world. A human-centered society that balances economic advancement with the resolution of social problems by a system that highly integrates cyberspace and physical space. Today, we are lucky to have a person amongst us who has great experience in the field of machine learning. Now, I would like to welcome Mr. R. Sai Chandra Tejas sir, founder at CKM VSGIL Private Limited, as our speaker for today's webinar to explain machine learning and its importance in the coming future.
Thank you, Piyush. That was a good introduction. Welcome, one and all. Uh, you guys are working hard even in the evening to learn some interesting things. So I would definitely would like to contribute some part of it. To clarify a brief. So Piyush, how do we go ahead? I do the presentation and then we take the Q&A, or we have some sections where I briefly stop and then we take a Q&A in between and proceed.
Okay, sir. Okay, sir.
Okay. So to clarify, basically, I'm not a machine learning engineer. I'm mostly focusing on a machine learning application or machine learning technology which is developed. How is that relevant to commercialize it? So I will be introducing some of the technologies which will be relevant for the Society 5.0, which is beyond Industry 4.0, which will be coming in the future. So the agenda today would be basically I'll be briefly introduce myself, then we'll see what Society 5.0 acronym means and what the company of CKM Visual and Green PMA, which I'm working on, what we are building. And then I would like to give a brief overview on some of the technologies where Piyush has mentioned, right, in the future society, how the machines and like physical space and the cyber space through machines, how it can be co-integrated for adding some value to our human life. So I am R. Sai Chandra Teja again. I'm based at Hyderabad. I've studied at Hyderabad, and my undergraduation was at JNTU. You might not be aware; it's a state university in Andhra Pradesh. I'm not an CS guy. I'm an electronics and communication engineering undergrad. Then I pursued my master's in integrated circuit, very large scale integrated IC design at IIT Hyderabad. And after that, I joined briefly at a company named Austria Microsystems. This is based in India only. And of course, when you started the professional journey so early, I thought I'd rather spend more time at university. So I I moved to Japan to do PhD at Osaka University. And after that, I worked a while in Japan at Toshiba, and they have actually the memory division of Toshiba was became an independent subsidiary which was named Kioxia. I worked as a researcher at the R&D center, mostly on the mobile memory and SSDs. And there I had an opportunity to be trained to build a business model on how do you translate an idea into a business, what are the questions which need to be answered and stuff like that. So that experience which I gained due to Corona, I had to come back, and I wanted to test that experience, whether I will be able to translate the technology or the ideas which I have into a business. So I came back to India, and I'm a co-founder of two companies, CKM Visual and Green PMU Semi. I will tell you why. The reason being there are two companies here. So basic goal is to build Society 5.0 technologies, which again of the relevance of this, which will be explained later. Skills, I'm not mentioned much of a technology. I'm mostly focusing on nurturing my skill on building technological businesses, where how a technology can be translated into a business. Where I was previously in the company, I was involved in the talent recognition and management. And what is needed to have a startup is basically one liner: how do you sell your product, right? So that's where I feel analytical communication or negotiations is a much more important factor, which could kind of help you in building the business. So this being a brief overview, tell me if I'm really fast. Is this space okay, or you guys?
No, sir.
Great. So, okay. So we'll dig deep into what is important today. Topic. The takeaway should be you should be able to understand what a society 5.0 is. So as the word suggests, right? I would like to introduce what is society 5.0 in this section. Why is it important? Where and how it is implemented by whom? If you see the word, it is a society, right? It is basically the progression of society. So society 5.0 is an acronym coined by Japan, where they say the future society is termed as a society 5.0. So I mean, we have started from foraging society to the post-industrial society. Let's see what all how the society has progressed. So if you see, like 80 to 70,000 years ago, we were a hunter-gatherer society. People used to just hunt animals for their food and daily living. And then I think that moved to kind of create our own world, where we moved from hunter to agrarian society. That was around 670 years ago. After that, due to the invention of the coal, steam, and locomotive engines, we started moving into industries. That transformation from an agriculture to the industries, where the invention of electricity was also there. So using the electricity to create some machines which could make our life easier. So basically, hunting was a tedious job. Then they moved into agriculture. Agriculture became a tedious job. They wanted machines to do some work. Then they came the machines, and people were disconnected. Then they started having internet to make all the machines connected to a one portal to exchange the information, which is an information society, which is what we are living in as of now, where most of the machines are connected, and also we have mediums to interact with the people across the world, right? So when we say this is a society which we are living in, and we are at the brim of the information society, the future society is basically termed as a knowledge society, which is society 5.0. What is a society 5.0? Briefly, it is the current information society is let's say a connection between a cyberspace and a physical space as a query and a response. If you see a person here, a person searches by a navigation system, right? If let's say you open the Google map, you search for an address that goes as a query to the cyberspace, and the response will be like, okay, this is at a like specific distance, and the landmark around those are this. So unless once you give a query, you receive a response. So once you receive the response, you will be able to analyze information whether okay, my destination was the same place or not. When I say query as a response, the response need not be on an internet basis. What we can do is we can say I push a button, like the TV remote, right? I push the button on the remote, the response on the TV is on, switched on. And in the in industries where you press a button, where you can control some robotics in the machine. So basically in the information 4.0, what is happening is it's a query response system, where you query, like where you input something that leads to an action or an information, or a response which contains an information which contains an action in a robot and stuff. So what happens in society 5.0 is the basically the co-integration of the physical and the cyberspace. Here the person is searching at a navigation system for an address, but what will happen, what is happening now is we have AI algorithms where okay, every week on Wednesday I go for basketball playing. So the AI navigation system would say, okay, this route has a traffic, so you can take another route to reach on time. So what is happening is basically this is not a query and a response system. What is happening is from the cyberspace, we are getting the recommendations, or it is predicting based on a pattern. Okay, every Wednesday I'm going somewhere for that reason. Uh, it is recommending stuff. And AI propose a person and say, okay, I went to a restaurant, right? Okay, based on my previous visits to the restaurants of me being a vegetarian, let's say I like paneer a lot. So it can say, okay, these are the new paneer dishes which you haven't tried before. You can try it. So what is happening is we are having a response without any query from the cyberspace to make our judgment faster, or to kind of based on our history, to propose the solution in a better way, where you're thinking stress is reduced. Most of the time when you want to go to a party to decide a place, it takes a lot of stress, right? So when there is some system which is like recommending you, okay, this is a good place you haven't tried, that's kind of a saver for us. So this is from personal perspective. And let's say from the industries, what is going to happen, where most of the previous time it was you press a button that is leading to action. Now okay, every 10 seconds there will be let's say a module which will be coming in the production line, So you just need to print a board or something. So this action will be repeated every 10 seconds. Once you know what needs to be done, you need not have, once the button is pressed every 10 seconds, the same action can be repeated once there is a board detected on the board. So basically, in the future, what is happening is we are moving from an information society to an integrated cyber society, let's say. So where we integrate the physical space and the cyberspace. Well, let's say, okay, to do this, what are all building blocks of this? So the automatic driving needs some sensors or needs some information from the sky for the respect to the traffic data and stuff, right? That's a big data. Now we need to analyze the data depending on the history. That needs an artificial intelligence, which kind of picks up the high value added information. It is kind of an operating instructions, and that gives back as a recommendation to the system. So society 5.0 is something where most of the industries are moving forward. Right now, most of the people don't want to press a button. Now you have an Alexa. You just say a word, and the lights are switched on. Previously, you need to kind of press a button to switch on the light. You need to press the switch. Now with the words, you are doing it, or you just make a skill code on a simple skill code on Alexa, where you say, okay, once it's a night at 7 o'clock, start the lights automatically every day. So that becomes a pattern. So this is where most of the technology is moving forward. So I wanted to give you an introduction of, let's say, what society 5.0, what are the different domains, and how actually you being CS guys, you write a hell lot of a code, how you can kind of translate the code into commercial entity which could help, which should be relevant to the society. Okay, so this is a brief society, and if you want to kind of check it with reference to industry, as
अरे
I
शिंतारो,
mentioned,
तू तो
society
अबे वहाँ
5.0
सेशन में था
is
ना?
shown in
यहाँ क्या
column
यहाँ
bracket.
क्या कर रहा है?
Industry 4.0 or industrial revolution, industry
अभी
1.0,
अभी अभी
2.0,
नोटिफिकेशन आया, शिंतारो
3.0,
हुक द
4.0
सर्वर,
is
और वो
coined by
निखिल आ गया.
Germany, where basically it was a transformation of manufacturing. Like initially, you had water, steam power, and then you have an assembly. Then you had robots and computers and automation. Now you have cyber physical systems. So what they are saying is transformation of manufacturing processes is termed as Industry 4.0. But Japan, what they're terming is, how do we kind of integrate this computer and automation, which is relevant to the society, as a society 5.0. It is like a digitization of economy
अरे कौन सा
with the
गेम है? ब्रा
transformation of the
वाला
society itself,
ऐसे कुछ
relevant
गेम है ना
things for
जो
the
साले चूतिए
society,
बच्चे मिल गए
relevant
आज मुझे डिस्कस.
systems for the society, relevant automation which is good, which could make the human job easier, is what we are looking at as a future society, as a society 5.0, right? So this is a small video introducing society 5.0. Yeah, so that's society 5.0 introduction, and how the future technologies or the technologies developed are basically should be relevant to help human lives. Then I'm moving to the company outline. Let's say, as I said, right, Society 5.0 has two components, or four components actually: the big data, AI, IoT, and then automation. So I'm basically focusing on building Society 5.0 technologies in terms of AI and IoT. CKM Visual Private Limited is basically focusing on the AI algorithms in collaboration with Dr. C. Krishna Mohan. He's a professor at the Department of Computer Science and Engineering at IIT Hyderabad. heads the Visual Learning and Intelligence Lab, which is coined as Visual. So the company name as VIGL is also a Visual Learning and Intelligence Lab where we build visual intelligence. So we're looking to build solutions for skill enhancement, smart healthcare, urban mobility, and smart transportation, and a smart AI solutions, which is for a better future. That is the Society 5.0. And so the pillars which are focusing is on smart healthcare, urban mobility, smart surveillance, and weather nowcasting actually to provide the solutions. So this company is focusing on AI, and the second company is Green PM Semi. Me being an electronic graduate or a semiconductor person, I wanted to be relevant to the semiconductor industry too. So what we are doing here is, let's say we are actually designing some integrated circuits which take ambient energy. When I say ambient energy is like the solar energy, thermal energy, vibration energy, and the radio frequencies which are available, like the Wi-Fi band, GSM bands, which are available across us, to harvest that energy and then make it like convert it into a voltage which is usable to drive the sensors or the processors. So this is also in collaboration with Prakash Ishwaran sir. He's a semiconductor veteran actually. He's also had an successful exit of his previous startup called Cosmic Circuits, which was acquired by Cadence. He was the CTO of the company, and now he's a technical advisor to some companies. And with under his guidance, and also Dr. Ashudev Datta sir, he's also an associate professor at IIT Hyderabad. I worked under him during my masters, so we kind of jot down together, kind of have an battery-free IoT sensor devices, right? So how do we are trying to build some innovative circuits where we can have the battery-free innovative solution. Today's talk mostly will be focusing on the CPM visual building part, because that would be more relevant in terms of audience which are present today. So I'll kind of take a break here once to take some queries, or I go ahead with the technologist introduction, and then at the end we can talk a lot. What do you suggest, Yash?
Sir, you say what we should do. Should we take break or should conduct Q&A first?
Okay, okay, I'll take the technology introduction also, then we'll
Okay.
let's go forward, and then we'll take the questions at the end after the suggestions. Okay.
Okay,
So
sir.
basically, Society 5.0, as we say, the vision is to find a solution for a better human life. There are four components, which is IoT sensors. Sensors generate some data. So that big data is analyzed through AI algorithms, which kind of generate an action to the robots. So if you see the person in the bottom corner, so the bottom corner is where the building is monitored through the vibration sensor. And now we have automated driving, and some kind of a telemedicine where the doctor is actually attending a patient remotely, which is really relevant in terms of the COVID times. And actually this person is using drones to see or monitor his agricultural land. And rest of it is basically the financial transactions across the globe, where sitting in India, you kind of pay in dollars or euros and stuff. So what we are looking at is basically a Society 5.0 where we integrate most of the things and develop solutions which could better human life. Previously, it was generating solutions which were really good in performance, but now mostly people are looking for solutions which could reduce their stress, which would reduce their workload in terms of their life, right? So going forward, if you're looking at a healthcare domain specific, now what I will do is Society 5.0 as a bigger scope, and the entire scope I mentioned. I would like to dig deep into some of the domains, which say where if you're developing, if most of the people being AI enthusiasts, let's say for different domains, how the AI algorithms can be developed, or on what specific areas you could see which could be commercialized or developed into prospective companies, let's say. So now this is much more relevant. The healthcare is at a brim due to COVID, the pandemic. It's the most challenging time which we are facing in terms of the history, where people now, when they contract COVID, if they are not aware of how much of it has worsened, it is actually costing the lives of the people. So what we want to know is, we want to know the symptoms. We want to know before the symptoms worsen, where the medical people can attend. So what can happen? What is needed there? Any AI algorithm needs a specific data set, right? The data is a new oil, data is a new money, data, whatever important data you kind of handle it, that kind of value that is also included in the valuation of the company. So in the healthcare specifically, we need a real-time physiological data like respiration rate, temperature of the patient, blood pressure, glucose level, GPS info, heart rate, and blood pressure. So during the sensors, most of the sensors have a battery. So at Green PMU, what we are looking at is we want to have a batteryless system where the sensors can actually run based on the ambient power, like the solar, like indoor light, or the thermal difference between the body skin and as well as the ambient temperature. So what we want to do is also kind of reduce the battery usage so that that the device, which kind of with the sensor device, which takes us physiological data to run on battery life. So where we are designing some circuits where we take the Wi-Fi signal, translate it into a usable voltage, and drive the sensor. That way we are contributing it to lesser, like no battery usage, which could reduce the carbon emissions altogether, contributing to SDG goals. That's what at Green PM Semi we are doing it. Let's say now I have the sensor data. Once you have the sensor data, how can you contribute? By reduction of the burden, right? Now you have Alexa, because most of the people are sitting at home very idle. You miss the college life where you have a lot of people to talk to. You have Alexa to like build a conversation, and there is some these wearable devices which kind of detect early, like a heart rate ECG monitor system, which is attached in most of the wearable watches. It monitors the heartbeat. If there is an anomaly in the pattern, it kind of raises the flags, or it kind of notifies this to the doctor. So previously, after your heart attack, you were attended, but now before the heart attack, to the symptoms where the sensor data could be really useful. So when you're using some algorithms which could kind of see or detect the anomaly is what is the crux here, right? So when you write a code which could detect the anomaly faster or send a response to the nearest hospital faster, that's where the application would lie, or a code which is relevant. And optimal treatment is basically, okay, once there is some kind of an unfortunate incident happened where immediate attention of medical facilities needed. There is an accident, right? Let's say if there is an accident, most of the data suggests if the accidents are attended within initial 30 minutes of it, you can reduce the fatality rate by at least 18 or 15% of it. So in that rate, in that case, when there is an accident, somehow if there is a surveillance camera to detect that accident and kind of raise an alarm and send a message to the nearest ambulance or the hospital, so that the ambulance or the doctors can attend to the accident, those kind of a code could be relevant in the today's time, right? And then the reduction of a burden, so the mitigation of on-site burden of healthcare and caregiving by robots, where most of the older people are assigned a nurse to be taken care of. Now you have some sensors and just monitoring the data of the sensors remotely. You might not have a specific person monitoring you. I mean, this is much more relevant in the COVID times, where you are basically moving into a contactless world. So this is in terms of a healthcare. When I mean, most of the students have different ideas, right? Okay, you have built a code which is relevant. Now you want to build a company, or you want to take up an entrepreneurship journey, or you want to commercialize that code. If that code is doing any of these functionality or addressing the problem in the healthcare domain, then you can build on it. That is for one way of looking at it. The second one is an energy and environment perspective, where I said, right. So problem is the energy storage. Most of the people are staying at home. We need to be connected to internet 24/7, and also there is a response to the demand and supply shock by the disaster. If there is a typhoon, if there is a heavy rainfall, we don't want our power system to be distracted. So what we do is basically, let's say if you're looking at home, right, the power generation is smaller. Let's say, okay, you here there is a solar curve, there is a HD, EV discharge, and EV charge. So if there is no power, you kind of charge your like cars, or you kind of charge your mobile beforehand. That kind of information can be forecasted beforehand based on the weather data. Okay, there is a rainfall predicted tomorrow. Now we like the a statutory message can be sent to all the people where there's a rainfall tomorrow. You can charge your mobiles, or you can charge your EVs to be well prepared. And let's say if there are some industries, right, where there is a local production, or industries where there is hospitals, so now you need oxygen cylinders to work 24/7. There also you kind of predict the status of the use and how do you kind of channelize the energy, right? So in terms of energy and environment, how effectively some of the algorithms can be mapped. So these things can also be used. Let's say you have developed a platform where you wanted to know the charge of EV bicycles and the EV vehicles which are there. Now what you do is on that platform, if you integrate a weather data, if there is a rainfall tomorrow, you can say, okay, tomorrow it's going to be rainfall, there might be a power outage. So you kind of charge your EV or charge a battery, extra EV battery today itself, so that even in case of an anomaly, you can have a smoother. That could contribute to lessen your burden. So in that sense, like the whole case here is when you're looking at these domains, what I want you to understand is when you want to think of any problem, right, some kind of a problem which you're facing, or what kind of solutions can come up, right? The EV charge case, you once there is a rainfall, after the power outrage, you're responding, it is basically like an information society. You send a query and you're responding. So what is happening society 5.0 is you kind of predict it based on a pattern. If there is a rainfall, what are the probable outcomes? There will be a power outage, there will be no internet. So but okay, these are the probabilities. When these are the situations arise, how do I kind of tackle it? As I said, okay, tomorrow is a rainfall. Now you can charge your systems today itself, has an extra battery or a power bank. So those kind of suggestions is what is making your life better. So previously in information 4.0, okay, after the rainfall, how do you respond to it? But in society 5.0, what do you, okay, tomorrow might be a rainfall. These, based on our history, these all might happen. So how do I kind of answer these anomaly or these kind of problems which I will be countering due to that event? So in healthcare, okay, it's a different perspective. In this energy and environment, these are the different let's say domains which you can look in, or you can address, or you can build some solutions. Is what I wanted to kind of give an impression. Not saying okay, you build it. I mean, I'm not a CS engineer altogether, right? I can't say okay, this your 100 lines of code can be optimized to a 10 lines of code. So this is techniques, but your 10 lines of code, or what code of that 10 lines could be relevant in terms of different domains where you can kind of think of whatever algorithms you have built on. So if that is the takeaway of today's talk, I'd be really happy. And let's see, okay, moving on, mobility, this is an, EV automation. We have a lot of things which are coming up in this space. Of course, we have seen this, right? Planning a route is troublesome. I want to avoid the traffic jam. If you're living in Bangalore or Hyderabad, that's a nightmare to go from one place to another place fastest, to at least attend the meeting on time. And let's say if you're going to for somewhere for fun, want to eat some yummy food, you want to know some hotel and restaurant which is good in that area to go hang out with your friends. So what will happen is the real-time information of weather, transportation, hotels and restaurants is the big data which we have. And based on our personal history or the database or the sensor information which is generated, AI could give you some suggestions. Let's say, okay, the sightseeing, if you have some time, you can visit some sightseeing areas closer by. This is a like Michelin restaurant available closer to you, which is at a smaller distance. So it can optimize the plans, and you can take another route where the greenhouse gas reduction, like greenhouse gases, can be reduced by effectively optimizing, distributing the vehicles across the roads, and by having some self-driving wheelchairs for elderly citizens that can be taken care of. Also, some car sharing services where Uber and all are doing it. So in terms of mobility, just not only on the car sharing services, what are the other factors which you can integrate on the same platform to build on as a company, is what I wanted to give a perspective on in terms of the different domains, right? This is the mobility. And then we are looking at safety. Now, India is a place where we have typhoons, heavy rainfalls, landfalls. So that kind of provision for evacuation information and delivery of supplies, like now COVID, due to COVID, Swiggy, Amazon have become a billionaire companies. So in terms of supply chain, how do you effectively optimize the supply information for the medical supply chain, or in terms of food supply chain, food chain? So how do you kind of see from data? Let's say if there is a heavy rainfall, there was a landslide in Uttarakhand, right? Let's say by using that information, how we can effectively reroute the supply chain and the food chain to those affected areas, so that they can be addressed faster. previously it would, that was previously what would happen is the anomaly should happen. Something happens and the government responds, and then the team goes out, like team addresses that. And now what, with lot of information and lot of technology development which is available, we want to kind of promptly look into what are different cases or possibilities during a weather disaster, in a way to address humans. So we if there is a self-evacuation procedure for a person in terms of a heavy rainfall, move to a nearest like a space on the hill or high altitude place, or a prompt rescue where somebody wearing a wearable device has fallen down, or he needs to be addressed, and there's an optimal delivery of the food and supply chain which we were discussing on. So that was on the food, and there is a smart industry which is close to industry 4.0 basically. How do we check the supply, factory logistics and the client, right? How do we strengthen the competitiveness, responding to the disasters, and then respond to the diverse needs, greenhouse gas reduction by reducing the labor shortage, by having automated vehicles moving around, and improve the customer satisfaction. So basically now there is a food requirement of an excessive stock, like food wastage in a supermarket close by. Let's say the supermarket kind of stores different vegetables, but depending on the history, basically if 10 or 20% of the vegetables are going unsold, he basically kind of change his stocking by reducing the stocking of those vegetables which are going unsold, which will kind of again replicate in terms of having a more stock for the goods which are sold. So that kind of a demand forecast and kind of stocking, like using the data to stock to effectively monitor the supply chain, is kind of one of the areas which you can explore. The food and security, this is much mostly relevant to us, where in India we have vegans, we have vegetarians, we have lacto people, we have people who only eat chicken, no meat, or I mean there are different different people who are allergic to different things and different food habits, right? So depending on that data, you kind of suggest a dish, or suggest a thing, comfortable meals which you were looking at. And as I mentioned before, also in terms of the food stocking and supply chain, where we reduce the wastage by looking at automating the food stock management, and even at the supermarkets, they kind of use the inventory in accordance to the customer needs. So basically, there was this one specific idea where while in Japan, which won a prize, was when we buy our week, like we buy groceries. I was living alone, so I buy groceries for a week, and then if I kind of scan my supermarket bill, it shows, okay, it kind of feeds in all the history of my buying, my purchase orders, and then it suggests, maybe it gives an alarm, okay, you don't have milk, which might die out in the next day, you need to buy today. So there was an app which was developed for that, and that became a really hit, and it was mostly famous, relevant to people. Where at least I get a message where my milk or my vegetables are gonna end tomorrow, so I kind of proactively buy it today. So that there was an app to kind of give you a proactive suggestion or recommendation. So that app was one good prize at a hackathon competition. Basically, the prototype was really fast. So that was it, and that was this. These are the different domains which are looking at. And if you have heard of Sustainable Development Goals, which is these are like assigned by UN for a good human life. So what I wanted you to, this was a glimpse in some of the industries which I felt relevant, which are booming in the current times. And when you have some course, or when somebody wants to, now you are at home, you have a lot of time to build some solutions, you want to build something valuable, relevant. There are a lot of technologies, a lot of fields which you can address. We have checked only some of them in terms of healthcare, agri-tech, or food tech, right? There is a government tech, civic tech, job technology, like, to address the HR needs of remote interview monitoring. So there was this app, there was this module which was given to Zoom, which kind of monitors your facial expressions during the interview with the HR, where they They give a rating to you based on your based on your facial expressions. They rate you of how confident you were with the answer, or how how tense you were. So those kind of modules were also of interest to Zoom people with video, maybe Google Meet also. This is an extra module where they said that they were actually giving to the companies who were carrying out the interviews, right? So this is where until now I've given a bigger scope of Society 5.0, different domains associated with it. And when you mind people who are at home, who want to build some apps, who want to build some things, some of the examples of some of the domains which you can look at mobility, food, supply chain technology, industries, or healthcare. So I wanted to give you a start, a first step when you want to build a core an app. These are the problems in these domains which are addressed in the future, and then you can go forward with your own ideas, which maybe if I can support, I would be happy to, where I'm not an expert in coding, but at least having a business sense, or how to translate that idea, or the relevance of an idea into the business, is what I can help with. So what we are looking at CKM Vigil is basically I'm looking at whatever data we have in terms of image, video, and audio, right? As during the introduction it was mentioned, I want to use this data and process this data. If it is an image and a video, we use image or video processing, AO video analytics into it. If it's an audio, we use NLP algorithms, the natural language processing algorithms, to kind of use it in different domains. First one is a kind of a customer relationship management domain. As I mentioned, one of it is one of CRM is where now we have during interviews, right? You check the confidence of the person based on his responses during the video interview. So that is for during an interview when you're talking to customers. When I'm proposing a solution to a customer, what was exciting him? Okay, when I said the AI and he responded with his eyebrows, or there was a movement in his face. Okay, we use that data to as a prospect to lead to pitch it into different things. I've given 5 questions, and some people were excited of 1 or 2 questions. So I curate my discussion around those important things, which I can stay relevant to. Second one is what I'm looking at specifically, which might be relevant now, is an action recognition, facial expression, traveling, word advice. I would dig deep more into this. And surveillance and the adverse weather conditions for the traffic management is most of the people are working in that area. So when I said, right, when you have a lot of data in the image, video, and audio form, there are different kind of analytics which could be possible. So there is descriptive analytics, diagnostic analytics, predictive analytics, and prescriptive analytics. If most of the people, for the people who have no idea what an AI, or what happens in an AI does this for what AI does is, from the data available, it kind of does this for insights. Descriptive insight is basically, as you said, right? It's a comprehensive, accurate, and live data effective visualization. It just kind of visualizes seeing the history or the pattern, saying, okay, I have 10 orders every hour. That's what it gives us. A diagnostic is basically over a day, if I have 100 orders, but only in the afternoon I have 50 orders, the rest of the time it was lower. Diagnostic is able to drill down in the root cause. Okay, during the afternoon rush time of 50 orders, how do I address this? That's like applying a band-aid. Okay, when I have a bigger order, how do I address that solution? Ability to isolate from all confounding information. When I said the descriptive is, okay, overall day I have 100 orders, but during lunch I have 50 orders. So during the 50 orders, you were kind of like troubled with overflow of the people, right? Address all the people. So by digging deep into the description, you kind of see, okay, how do I diagnose this problem where there's an overflow of people? I kind of build an app where they before coming to the restaurant, they pre-order their meals. So when they come to the restaurant without any waiting, I can kind of give it to them. So that is kind of a diagnostic way of looking at. Predictive way is, okay, based on the history of data during the month of May in the year, I have a huge flow at the restaurant. So I predict during the May, I have a huge flow in the restaurant. I need to stock my food or the vegetables which are needed in a bigger volume with respect to based on the data of the previous year. So that is like a prediction based on the history, where what likely to happen is during the May last year I had a huge inflow. This year May I might see a inflow, so I need to be prepared for that. Prescriptive is, okay, now I basically you see a system, as I said, right? Now we are meeting on a Google Meet. Definitely this is recorded. So when this data is recorded, what all things can I pick it up? Now my face is visible, my speech is audible. So based on the speech, what was the point of focus, or you data mine the using NLP algorithms, you data mine the speech to kind of create a summary or kind of give an action items in the speech. Or in the video, as I said, for the recruitment, they have started in this video interviews remotely. They do all this analysis on your 30-minute interview of how confident you are with responses to specific questions, and based on your eyebrow movement, what is the possibility of you lying or bluffing on some of the things on your resume. So people on the remote are actually taking up these solutions to build and evaluate the people. This is not a face-to-face interview now, right? So based on the remote solution on the availability, I prescribe. This was not a solution actually in the recruitment, but a company has said, okay, now since I have the data availability of capturing the face available, okay, by using some of the algorithms and insights and psychological parameters, I can kind of rate the people when they are talking, the way they are talking and the way their eyebrows are moving and the facial expressions. I can kind of estimate how confident that guy is. So this was proposed to the recruitment companies, and now they're paying to use that module to be integrated into their recruitment platform during your an hour or half an hour long of interview. They kind of background evaluate you. So be prepared for all these evaluations when you're looking going forward for different interviews. You might think it's a simple interview, but stay alert for all kind of
अरे यार सॉरी
analytics
यार
run
मिटिंग
through
नहीं है
different platforms.
ब्रो मेरा नाम मिटिंग है
So
साथ
that was it. And as I mentioned, one of the things which I'm passionately looking at as of now is
अरे हाँ भैया स्टार्ट
there is this data which says a fear of public speaking. Right, this is mostly in common with the students. It is
ओके
termed
ओके
as glossophobia,
और ऋतिक मॉस
which
के
is
रखवा है
actually 74% of people suffer from anxiety during. Now you are an undergraduate, you should be able to you will definitely have some presentations going forward. You will be able to handle working as a team for the project. For internships, you might go to companies and all. The public speaking is a very huge skill which is required. So what the thought in my mind is, let's say now I am giving a presentation, right? There is an image and a video which is available. So what I run is an image and video processing and an NLP algorithm, NLP, which could give me advice on my speech, whether my speech was really audible, whether my pace of my communication was good enough or I was fast enough. Where after this present, okay, I record a video of 30 minutes. What I'm suggesting is, okay, there is this app where I record my presentation of 10 minutes, and after there is a background AI algorithm which runs, and then it suggests saying, okay, you were really fast at the beginning of your speech, or your name was quite not audible. These words were a little stammering, and your facial expressions might be you're not smiling, or you have a straight face throughout the presentation. So stuff like that, which this app could kind of suggest, where the people can kind of brush up their skills. Because you are at home, there is no most of it, since the world is moving towards contactless in the pandemic, this application might gain. I mean, if I'm not designing it, somebody else would design it as soon as possible, because there is a need for this, right? Because most of the people are now your teacher is basically moving after Google. It is internet or laptop or applications which are available. So this is the one idea which you want to build at CKM Vigil. And second idea is basically image analysis on the medical things, where medical image auto classification or some kind of a video representation onto it. So yeah. So summary is, I hope I introduced the Society 5.0 technologies and the different business domains with different problems and different applications, which could give you a thought process into your creative thought process, where if you want to build something, these are the domains which you can look in. And if you have some skills already built in, then you can start of what can be done. And there is a rise of AI-powered video analytics and its applications. So this recruitment interviewing using video interviewing, and different algorithm AI-powered video analytics, which could go there. And also with this telemedicine and everything, right? So like another, okay, during interview, the facial expression can predict the confidence of a person, but in the same way, in the telemedicine, the facial expression kind of predict a percentage of facial paralysis, or some kind of how do you say, people who have stammered voice, or I'm not a medical expert, but if you have a huge eye blinking, that kind of gives a symptom of high BP or something. I'm not pretty much sure. So those kind of stuff where video analytics are on rise, And for the edtech business, which I mentioned, where I mean, students or the like the people who are studying, to be a help to them to give a prospect to speak. And people, let's say even in the regional languages, or if you're learning German, right, or Japanese, in for say this was the background of this idea was I had to make a Japanese presentation. I literally don't know how to the grammar or the sentence formation, right? I know some words in Japanese, but I wanted somebody to kind of guide me in that. When you need somebody now, there are a lot of NLP algorithms have reached to a state where there is a Grammarly which could correct the grammar. So when I say some sentence, why can't Alexa correct me? Okay, this sentence is actually grammatically correct sentence is this. If I just plug in some of the words, verbs, or the nouns and pronouns, so that helped the, I mean, previously it is like I give a presentation, somebody kind of corrects me, this is a sentence formation, and then I note it and then I rehearse it. Now there is in the contactless world, when you're learning a new language or you want to brush up your English skills itself of good sentence formation or some good, I mean, we are not Shashi Tharoor to use some unknown words altogether, but some kind of an advice that for good words could be a help is where the tech business idea is where, but my hands are tied. But anybody interested to build that would be an unpaid internship, pretty bluntly I'm telling you. And with the medtech, I have some contacts in the medical people, as I said, where they are interested in facial paralysis or estimation of the facial paralysis. They're not well versed with AI algorithms, right? But if people who are interested in med technology development and image analysis, where still unpaid, but incentive would be if you kind of develop good algorithms, we could kind of publish it in a well-known publications. So this was the talk. It was a pretty big talk. Some suggestions I have, and then maybe I'll close it sooner. So to quick start, as I said, what the takeaway from today's talk will be people who are AI enthusiasts who are interested in research or entrepreneurship or technology development. Research is basically, as I said, you build some products for medtech that could build you some applications, and you choose a technology and relevant business domain to develop a solution and network with mentors because you're sitting at home, you have a lot of time to plan your career plans or advisors where if you want to kind of target Stanford for your masters, how can you build your, if you are in undergraduate first or second year, how do you build your career? Because I missed it and now somehow I worked out in Japan, and then I understand like what I could, if I was in undergraduate first or second year, if somebody would have advised me on a different journey of admission, that would have been a good thing. And the most important thing is ask one question in every meeting or seminar you attend. I hope if there are 30 participants now, I'm expecting 30 questions. Or of course, you can start it from the next meeting also. What happens there is, listen, now it is my seminar, right? Most of the time, speakers only remember the people who have questions. Why? And it will also kind of help you in networking. As I said, you can just after this, then it's not about me. If you're looking at a different personality, if you attend a seminar of a different eminent personality, you ask a question and then you can straight away email him saying, during your seminar or so and so date, I was a person who asked you a question, sir. I was really impressed. I was looking forward to kind of look, I'm looking for an internship opportunity, hope you could help. So that way, I mean, this is just a simple trick uh, to, to get some internships for you, as I said, and stay committed to small goals and work. What I mean here is, if you are doing some, if you're even with the professors at university or dealing with some people, if you say in this time we have a meeting, stay committed to some simple work and stuff and utilize the internet resources, because you need not have a GPU to run an AI algorithm, because the Google Cloud platform offers around $300, right? 30,000 credit to run your AI algorithms on the cloud, which you can kind of use different GPUs for the workload and higher algorithms which you need. So there are a lot of no problems. You are in a world where you can develop sitting at home. So those were the suggestions. And yeah, this one is what I wanted to. This was one basic where in a mobile phone there was a manual screen lock. There was a pattern. Then there's a biometric. Now it's a facial recognition. So it is moving from a contact-based to contactless technology development. So whatever technologies you're looking at, you kind of think of it from a contactless perspective. And as I said, simple facial recognition to detect a mask. Now you can kind of, during the COVID, you can avoid touching eyes, nose, and mouth. And there's a depth estimation where social distancing is followed in multiple faces. Okay, that was 51 minutes straight. Let's pick up some questions from here.
Hello guys. Now you can simply ask your question, but turn on your mic or simply put it in chat box.
Yes, you can speak in Hindi, Telugu, English. I will try my best to answer. So can you propose a machine learning roadmap for an absolute beginner? As I said, I'm not an expert, but Google must be your best friend. There are a huge number of blogs, which for an absolute beginner he can start with. To start, as I said, one thing which maybe most of the students should keep in mind is now you need not have a good institute, right? Like previously, there was a notion where IIT had good technology access, or the premier institutes had good technology access. But nowadays, everything mostly is on internet. So you need not you might not. This is just a 4 lines of code, right? So you just start
Sir,
with
there's
some.
massive lag in my voice.
Okay, I'll stop presenting and then. Is it good now? Hello. Okay, so roadmap for an absolute beginner. Maybe you shoot me a mail. I'll share you some of the blogs when I run some codes I refer to. So you don't wait for anybody to give you some queries. Google yourself, make a plan, action, do it. How much time will it take? The society 5.0 will come for normal human. As I said, Japan is already saying we are at the brink of information technology. Pandemic has pushed the boundaries. So we're already we're starting AI algorithms. Development of AI algorithms, daily NLP algorithms is at a huge pace. So we might soon look at it at 2025 or so, where, as I said, most of the systems will recommend you sitting at home. And when will it enter in market and its future? That's what I'm saying. Technologies are being developed now. So if you develop the technologies now, you will be addressing all these things. When things are in market, your technology will be the hot cash. Because of the pandemic, Zoom made a public exit on IPO on Nasdaq. So Zoom, when Zoom was created, if you have seen his interviews, he never might have dreamt being an IPO due to pandemic, right? So that was one thing. And telemedicine, as I said, that, I mean, even the recruitment people are using the model which was created, as I mentioned. Remember the model with looking at the facial expression. He's just deciding, estimating with confidence. I mean, how tough it is to convince another person. Now you have to convince a machine to say, I'm confident. So you need to be prepared for that, is one thing which I can suggest. Yes. As vigilance is increasing day by day, so this can affect the privacy. Exactly. So one of the important concern now, right, as I said, there are a lot of AI algorithms which are developed primarily looking at the accurate estimation. Let's say detecting a human or detecting an object with an highest accuracy was the game 1.5 year back. Now the game is now because let's say pandemic has pushed this telemedicine altogether, right? So the only thing now, the AI algorithms kind of need to detect the object altogether, but not actually affecting the privacy of the human. No, he can actually take the. Now what is happening is, previously there is this data privacy rule which says you can record or for say, even for security concerns, you can kind of stack the data for 1 week. After 1 week, either you need to kind of take the acknowledgement of the person whom you are recording, or you need to delete it within a week. So what is happening is what your AI algorithm should perform the feature extraction. Let's say I am just counting the number of people who are coming to a mall or a restaurant, let's say, or I wanted to understand the I wanted to understand what age group is my restaurant is popular among my restaurant. So what I do is I put a camera at the entrance. I just detect the humans, detect their age, gender, and their emotion when they're eating the dish. स्टार्टिंग में एमएल ज़्यादा हार्ड लग रहा है कोई टिप्स है क्या जिससे कि थोड़ा इजी लगे आई मीन अगर इजी लग रहा है तो हर बंदे को एआई आता है आई मीन हर बंदा रन में कोडिंग कर रहा है दो कोड करो दो आई मीन बैठ के दो कोड लिखने के लिए इज द ओनली टफेस्ट पार्ट और जो भी आई मीन I used to be the same. I used to be like you, where I'm a circuit engineer. I have nothing, no knowledge about AI algorithms and all. People used to say I have detected the face, I have estimated the age and gender of a person. I used to think, I mean, तारे तोड़ दी उसने. I mean, some wonder he has done it. When I started, I sat and I kind of looked around Google. I started developing a code for myself. Then I realized it is hardly 6 hours of a job for a facial recognition system, which I developed 8 months back. Now you just have like a simple click for the facial recognition. Now the AI coding is also going forward so fast. So ज़्यादा हार्ड लग रहा है, अगर हार्ड नहीं लगेगा तो करने में मजा भी नहीं आएगा. इजी लग रहा है तो 100 बंदे कर रहे होंगे. तुमने क्रैक किया 10 कोड तो you are that person who would be good, right? इजी चीजें करो ही मत भाई. इजी चीजें करने में क्या मजा है? इजी चीजें करने का तो पॉइंट ही नहीं है. How actually ML works, like in your how the system detects human, right? So the basic codes, that is what I'm telling you, right? Unless if let's say I have written the code, now I can confidently say that face detection is a very simple task. Human detection is a very simple task. It's just a 4 lines of code. I'm telling you. Trust me, it is just a 4 lines of code. एक लाइब्रेरी को इंस्टेंट करो, एक 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 मॉड्यूल है उसको इंस्टेंट करो, बस खत्म. वो वेब कैमरा ऑन होने वाला है, तुम्हारा फेस ऑटोमेटिकली डिटेक्ट हो रहा है. तो it is actually it's a piece of code, right? How it is working, it is kind of, let's say तुम्हारा एक डेटा सेट है, right? How actual ML work is, मेरा एक डेटा सेट है जिसमें ह्यूमन इमेज है, कैट इमेज है, डॉग इमेज है. अब मैंने इनपुट इमेज दिया है. इनपुट इमेज में मेरे वो फीचर एक्सट्रैक्ट करता है, जैसे मेरे आईब्रोज को आईब्रोज के डिस्टेंस एंड माय फेस एंड दैट फीचर्स आर एक्सट्रैक्टेड एंड देयर कंपेयर्ड टू ह्यूमन, कैट एंड डॉग. When it is compared, okay, this comparison is close to human, then it says it's a human. So it is basically taking the image, comparing it to whatever data or history I have, and then the detect. So that's how an ML works. How in the future can ML CTC can be equal to SDE? As I said, right, if you are a software developer, if you have some hands-on experience on AI algorithms, AI is not something out of blue you're doing it, right? Okay, you are a software developer, you're let's say you're doing a web design. In the web design, you can also integrate AI saying, okay, based on web, how like now I think the from which country, what age group, on what time I have my web hits. On that basis, you can kind of map the prospective customers. So that data mining and mapping can also be done. You are an SDE with this ML skills for data and data analytics skills, then your CTC will be bigger than ML and SDE guys. How can we use machine learning skills to generate revenue? You can't use your skills to generate revenue. Use your skills to develop some technologies that will bring the money. Skills are developed with respect to time, but technologies, the skills which are translated into lines of code is money, right? It's not like, okay, you have written 1,000 lines of code, but nowadays, like more the lines of code, the value is better. 1,000 lines of code का काम अगर तुम 100 lines of code में optimize करके दे रहे हो, your value is way bigger actually. So your machine learning skills, no, you use your machine learning skills to write niche code. That code is value. That will generate revenue. What are your favorite use cases of machine learning modeling? As I said, in education tech, to kind of help the students in one way using the NLP and ML algorithms. And the second thing is the medical telemedicine, which is on a boom, which will not die. Everybody has to visit doctor, so that's where I think the cash and money is. How do you think quantum computing will affect machine learning? This is one interesting topic where I was also interested in. Basically, now you need some GPUs for high-end systems to kind of do the run the models or the workload. Most of the people are looking forward as an edge learning, where they say, like as I said, right, the previously तुम्हारा code cloud में जाता है, cloud में process होगा, result is coming back to you. But now your mobile will become so powerful going forward 5 to 7 years. It will be your Alexa, it will be your any recommended system or everything. So the computing, quantum computing might be for bigger valuation, but simple machine learning algorithm, as I said, the previously every 1,000 lines का code है, and you need some GPU with a specific capacity to compute this 1,000 lines. Now what will happen is now that's where basic machine is coming to, right? You kind of once you reduce the computation, you start क्या था पहले तो computer हो गया, now iPad is similar the same thing, right? Doing the computation of the same place. That is also one very good area which actually you can work on, where you say, okay, current state of our AI model is running with 1,000 lines of code. You write 100 lines of code with similar predictability, boom, right? There is a catch. So do you prefer us learning it from the scratch or just use the library? Just use the library. There is two kind of approaches basically. One is a top-down and bottom-up approach. I prefer the top-down approach, basically where I use a running code and then dig deep. Okay, what line is doing what line is actually computing, and what line is when the output is coming, what exactly is happening, or what functions are called, what libraries are called. Bottom-up approach is where you study the basics, you understand the libraries. Okay, then after you start the writing. So I'm a top-down person where I started with running code and then learning. As I said, the facial detection on the with the age, gender prediction, attention time thing. One thing where I wanted to address was basically the attention time and the edtech. Now most of it is in online classes, right? So to put the students attentive, or to just check how much attentive his student was just by monitoring his pupils or eyes on the system. If he's just moving his eyes away from the system, there is an ML code. I wanted to do that actually. That was the code I developed. So I used the code where we detect the face already. Then you start building on it. So that's the top-down approach. So learning, you just start doing it. That will do the rest of it, because whatever is difficult is detect the face. Detect the face is just simple 4 lines of code I'm telling you, and are easy to learn. Save them in video profile calculation. What's your take? Detecting a face is a simple thing, as it will also be relevant to the quantum computing. Now, as I said, if your system is not capable, use the GCP. They're doing it. They're giving you free $300 of computational usage of high-end GPU systems on the cloud. Use them. The DB performance calculations will also be reduced. But once you understand both, right? Okay, this facial recognition. Previously, it was 100 lines of code. Now I'm telling you, just calling the library, making it a module, 4 lines could do that. That 4 lines is reduced on the mobile. Now most of the iPhones have the facial recognition, right? So now it has gone to a stage where very less computation you can integrate into a smallest phone, a phone with a limited power capacity. So what you want to look at is everybody is looking at something, right? You see the next step, where could this be relevant? अभी मैंने facial recognition का इतना market है. You as I said, 4 lines of code, but where all facial recognition can be used in recruitment, in your schools, to check the attention time of the students, and mass detection. Everything is there in the 4 lines of code. The next step. And if you think that people who are showing you facial recognition are geniuses, I'm telling you, it is just a 4-hour job. I mean, 4 hours you have to understand the code. Nothing, just see a blog, blindly follow the blog, you do it in 30 minutes. I am happy, so yeah. You could start working, and people who, I mean, I always see this, nobody can feed you from the beginning. If you have built some code and if you have an experience, those people will get good solid internships. Don't expect, okay, give me some internship where I will come and learn. Most of the people are learning, so you just need to stay in the race. In that, it's better to learn to a certain stage by yourself. That's where maybe, as I said, you now you know the facial recognition code you have done. Now I can give you some task, not task in a way, where we can build some solution, as I said, attention time calculation, or eye movement, or facial expression का detection कैसे कर सकते हैं. Like till now I thought face detection to be toughest, but kids were where, but there is the problem on where somehow we need to engage our brain. We need to engage your brain on where the society is going forward into. That is where the society 5.0 is going forward into the technologies which could ease your life, right? अभी मैंने बताया Alexa is speaking, so you don't want to switch on the light, you want to say okay switch on the light, that should get switched on. So अब facial detection is easier, but facial detection से attention time per calculation or mapping it to estimating the confidence is where the novelty lies in. So people who are building those steps are where leading the race. So you are now at home, you have a lot of resources, you have hands-on computations, right? You need not be at a primary institute or you need not be at Google. Actually, Google employee को जैसे GCP platform मिल रहा है, you are also able to access the same GCP platform. So how effectively you want to use it is up to you. And people can unmute themselves and speak also. Is it only until 8 or what time is it? Okay, so people who have some experience on AI or looking for internships, you can visually welcome. And there are two fields, as I said, one is in edutech and another is the medical image where I'm not an expert, as I said, there are some doctors from my contact with seniors who are working on, they're MBBS graduates. So they only know what exactly, okay, there is a mole, there is a brain tumor है कि नहीं बता सकते. Then now you have a design and algorithm to just detect the tumor from brain images. So if you could do that and there is some good results, then we can look for a publication as an incentive who are looking for some research career or who want to pursue MS in research, who want to do some publications and build some career. That's the support I can give in, and people who have some ideas, who have built some already codes, then I could kind of help you in translating a business model into it. But as I said, first you need to help yourself. Nobody can teach you coding. Of course, everything is available on Google. So how to approach cybersecurity and how to start it along with the college or any authentic certification required. How to approach cybersecurity. So there is this thing, right? We have typical OTP generation,
I
typical
like the girls.
what is that email? I mean ID password kind of a system now, right? So OTP generation ka algorithm is also something which you can dig in, which you can work on. Faster generation, faster OTP generation. And if you're in college, admission portal is something which you can approach. Where like this is I mean it just hit to me where one of my friend वो होता है ना कि during admission portals people register themselves and then there is an ID and password generated and now most of the time what they're saying is to send a reminder to him. And there are different stages of application, right? MS में तुमको you need to write an SOP, you need to write an essay and everything. So you just fill in the basic details and then the SOP is there. तो cybersecurity में क्या होगा कि kind of whether you attach an OTP to that also, or you use an AI algorithm to kind of generate an notification to him. Okay, the deadline is in 7 days, kindly apply. Because कभी-कभी क्या होता है, people miss, I mean, simple people miss it in their busy lives. So in that way you could build something of authentic certification में तो OTP generation को कैसे integrate कर रहे हो और ID password में how do you kind of use it with your mobile number. Or there was this approach of Aadhaar card authentication in the background. Let's say I give you the number, the application could kind of go to the that system, ping it, just ping the other number there. You're not actually giving the entire details, whether it's a valid other number or not, and giving it back. So now most of the you need a mobile number to activate any create any account, or you need some kind of not a qualification, some kind of a valid proof, right, to do that. So how do you integrate this system? Let's say you're in college, you make a system where any person creates an ID when he gives an Aadhaar number. On the background, you kind of take this number, go and main server में उसको ping करोगे, and if it matches, you just the response will be a true, and then you say okay, this person is validated. Some kind of a system that you can think of building if it answered one should. Okay. But
Okay.
from next presentation, kindly ask one question to the speaker so that he also be good. And if you're looking for some kind of internship at that company, yes, please.
If there is not any other questions, so can we end?
Yes.
Thank you, sir, for reserving time from your busy schedule. We are highly honored to get a chance to listen to you. Moving forward, now I would like to invite Srishti and Ambush to take over.
Now, I am Mitch along with my co-host Srishti. On behalf of People like Nagpur and the entire Skills Spring team, would like to extend our hearty vote of thanks to all the mentors for gracing your important work and sharing with us your knowledge and helping us in enriching our skills. Now, I would like to especially extend our thanks to our mentors Dhananjay Mishra, Arnav Kumar, Aniket Srivastava, Anmol Kumar, Saurabh Paswan, Pranay Gupta, Ravi Kumar for competitive programming, Akash Phogat, Aditya Vats, Divyansh Kumar, Saurabh Mukherjee for machine learning, Agnil Lazar Alapat for IoT and robotics, Devrupa Nath for UI designing, Gaurav Agarwal, Shruti Raj, Shashank Muthu, Jatin Chandani, Rishabh Singh, Annam Sai Manohar, Venkat Nagel Bharat for web development, Priyam Kumar Singh, Rishikesh Patwardhan, Ekta Chaudhary for app development. We are really thankful to all the mentors for devoting their precious time to us and help us in developing our skills. With this, we come to the end of the mentorship program for Skills Spring today. If the mentors are interested in mentoring, they can continue their respective groups and keep guiding us in enhancing our skills. Now I would request my co-host Srishti to give a vote of thanks to all the speakers.
Hope you all enjoyed all the sessions and have an excellent grasp of all the topics we had in this online webinar series. In these sessions, our speakers were here to help us extend our scope of knowledge in various trades. Like Vandana Thota gave us a wonderful introductory session on UI UX designing. Karthik Kinge gave us an insights on AR, VR, and MR. Abhay Singh gave us informative session on IoT and drones. Tips and new updates about entrepreneurship were covered by Aditya Verma, the co-founder of PrepBytes. Web development session by Gaurav Agarwal. Free online workshop on competitive coding and placement preparation was conducted by Mamta Kumari ma'am, the co-founder of PrepBytes. Rinkesh Gosaria led an informative session on blockchain. And last but not the least, a machine learning session which we just attended by R. Sai Chandra Teja sir. On behalf of Skills Night, I extend a vote of thanks to all our speakers as well as the participants for gracing their important work and contributing to make this event a successful one.
Yeah, so the wait is over, and now let us announce the winner for all the fun activities we had over these 21 days. In Blade Storm, first prize was backed by Team Spray and Pray. Congratulations to all the team members Jatin Changani, Rishabh Kumar, Kedar Pitwe, Aniket, Shuman, Sri Charan. In chess, the best move was played by Yash Dhoke, and also we would like to give a special thanks to Ravi Sinha Bhaiya for his constant support throughout the tournament. In Fun Quiz Bollywood, the winner is Saksham, and Fun Quiz IPL was won by Saurabh Mukherjee. In Tech Meme, the first prize was backed by Piyush Agarwal, which was judged by Triple IT and Wally. In poster design, the best poster was made by Sanil Satarkar, which was judged by the Strokes Club of Triple IT Nagpur. In the photography contest, the best shot was clicked by Vichans Dutt. Congratulations to all the winners.
With this, we come to the end of the first few chapters of our Skills Spring book. But still, there are a plethora of interesting competitions coming up to excite you all, which includes the Open Idea Challenge. brainstorming with your friend or working upon your ideas and fabricating a prototype for them. Does it sound like your cup of tea? If yes, then I must say this is indeed the right place for you. Go check their website and register for it. Weave the web. Web designing, the competition for creative minds. Draft an outline for the web page in any tool of your convenience for the specific content provided to you. Codnox, a coding competition, and a lot more coming soon. So stay tuned.
A big thank you to awesome and patient audience. Now we would like to sign off. Stay healthy, stay safe. Thanks.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Srishti. Have a good day, have a good weekend, and stay safe. That could be it.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.